pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Just a reminder, if you have a cell phone, to please put it on silent. Miranda, could we have roll call, please?
Mayor Bain.
Here.
Councilor Burrell. Here. Councilor Lundstrom. Councilor Scavizzi. Councilor Sherman.
Yeah, here.
Councilor Spradlin.
Here.
Councilor Stroud.
Here. Okay, the approval of minutes. We've all had a chance to take a look at the regular meeting minutes from May 24th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'd look for a motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilor Grell, second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Councilor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin.
Yes.
Councilor Stroud.
Yes.
Councilor Burrell.
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, visitors delegation. We don't have any scheduled for that. So at this time, I would invite anyone that would like to publicly comment tonight. No one? Okay. Move on to management, number 5. First up, we have resolution number 2021-4, and I would look to Rick Karoglian for that.
Good evening, council. Feels like it's been a long time since we've had a last meeting, but I guess it's been good, right? Everyone's enjoying family. So we are wanting to, like we said last time when I came, to update our code, our fee schedules, and include specific things to make it consistent with our county, especially with Fort Morgan and Brush, since we do a lot of the same contractors doing the same things. So we're adding 5 things at the bottom, and so the first one, if you look at the bottom, it says water heater permit. It's just a plain $25 permit. Mechanical equipment, that's AC units and furnaces. Third would be a temporary, this is temporary certificate of occupancy, or TCO, and this is for the residential, and that would be $250 with an asterisk at the bottom stating that it's good for 30 days. This is an extension to help people, you know, if it's not threatening, hazardous kind of situation, if it's just incidental things that still need to get done, allows them to pay for this and get in, and they'll get 80% back once they finish it. And then it goes into commercial, TCO commercial under 3,000 square feet, and that would be $250 as well. And then the TCO commercial over 3,000, and that's $1,000, and they'll get their 80% back once they complete it in the timely manner stated. If not, then it's has to be renewed at the full price. This is basically, after discussing it with Fort Morgan, this is what they use, and they do it on a purpose to make sure that it is, it costs you something, so that you don't just get it and then it just drags on forever. So it's designed to allow them to have a loophole to get what they want, but then come back and finish what we want them to do. So that's just what the fee schedule is.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Rick. With that, I would look for a motion from council on the item.
We approve resolution number 2021-4, amending appendix 16C of the Brush Municipal Code, adopting the updated fee schedule.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
I was going to just make one comment. Part of that we had that in that Exhibit A was the water plant investment and the water connection charge. Dale, you're still working on that with our engineers, and so in fine print on those you'll see the date that those were put in place. Just realize that we're currently working with our engineers to come up with the new rates there. So those, you'll probably see this again in the near future once our consultants are done putting that together. So
Okay.
make sure everyone's aware of that.
Rick?
Since Monty brought that up, at the bottom of this, and this is just for Loranda's sake, just to make sure we get the right numbers in, but the resolution at the very bottom of the page in small letters, it should be resolution 2021-6, and this was from the old that I just didn't change. So that was a mistake on my end, but I want to make sure that's for the record. 2021-6 will be the resolution number for this.
Okay, do we need to amend the motion? Because we're using 2021-4.
No, that's the correct one. Oh, 4?
Yes.
The motion was to approve 2021-4, not 2021-6.
It is 2021-4.
Okay, it needs to be 4 then.
Okay.
So,
okay.
sorry.
So we're good.
Yep.
Okay. All right, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Stroud?
Yes.
Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Mayor Bain?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5B, Dardanus Annexation Agreement, Dale Colrick.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Earlier this year, and even just a little bit in the past year, Greg and Gina Dardanus has approached the city on potentially annexing some property. It wasn't until recently that they actually took possession of that property, so now they are moving forward with their annexation request. It's an application process that consists of several parts. One is a land use form. We have to know what we're doing. The next is a petition for annexation, and part of that, as well as what we're looking at right now, is an annexation agreement. This is where we come to terms with, okay, you're going to get city water, city sewer, you're going to get city services, and it just sets out conditions like you have to bring water and the like. And it just gives us an opportunity to make sure that their annexation does follow city code. And so with this annexation agreement right now, this is the last step of the application process. Later on in work session, we're going to talk about actually starting the annexation process by discussing a resolution for intent of annexation. And that's what, all of a sudden, once we approve that resolution for intent of annexation, then the clock starts ticking. We have to meet certain milestones at certain dates. But this is the final portion of that annexation application. Any questions? We are looking at about a 1.1 acre annexation across from Beaver Valley. It's right next to the Townsend Minor subdivision, which is a county subdivision. George Minor subdivision is also part of that, but it was annexed in, I think, probably right around 2006 or something like that. It was a long time ago. So this is a property just to the west of the George Townsend. It's just right across from Beaver Valley.
Is that, in
on
the
Mill Street.
packet, it showed 3 lots, and then it
Correct.
showed another 2 lots. The other 2 lots are not included in this annexation?
Correct. What you see, those 2 lots, you'll see there's 4 different lots there. One of them, it says George Minor subdivision. That's already been annexed into
Okay,
the city.
that's what
That's currently in the city. And so what we're doing is, if you look at the lot west of that, it is currently still 1 lot, but when they annex this in, it's going to be subdivided into 3 lots, and they're going to be residential, low-density homes. And so we've looked at all the required areas that are needed, and everything fits nicely. So,
Okay.
but you'll see that it's that kind of a rectangle split up into 3 lots. That's how they wish to annex that in.
Okay. So council's looking at the annexation agreement, and then also in the work session, we have the next step, I'm guessing, in that process that we're
Correct.
going to talk about.
All right,
Okay.
and we're intending on bringing that to council on the 28th. And
Okay.
so keep in mind that once that resolution is approved by council, then that's when we really start getting our homework at this point.
Okay.
So things will move fast.
Okay. Any
And so with
questions?
that, staff recommends that you approve the annexation agreement. Any discussion?
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Dale. Okay, with that, I'll look for a motion on the agreement.
I move we approve the Dardanus annexation.
Say that 3
agreement.
times.
I'm a good reader, I swear.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Spradlin seconds. Any further discussion on the item?
Just for clarification, if there's a requirement for water, if they don't come forward with a suitable source of water before the next council meeting, then do we still go forward with that resolution, or we just hold on to that?
That would be a council decision. We will look to see what that water looks like. That's what we have to look for. There is actually a provision within the city code that says that when you do annex in, you must bring water to the city, and you have to dedicate all that water over. However, if there is no water, there can be fees in lieu of water.
Right.
So,
Okay, so that isn't something that's been discussed at this point in the agreement?
Yeah,
No,
not yet.
not
Okay.
It is in the agreement that they have to follow city code, specifically these provisions of, it's in there. One moment.
It's 13-2-20.
Thank you.
13-220? Oh, thank you, Dave.
13230 and 13240. There should
Oh,
be
okay.
three different provisions in the code that requires them to bring some sort of water to us. And so,
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions before we go to roll call? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman? Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Counselor Strauss?
Yes.
Mayor Bates?
Yes. Okay, moving on to 5C, we've got 4 proclamations on the agenda tonight. The first one is a proclamation number 2021-8 in recognition of National EMS Week, and I would look for a motion on that.
I move that we approve proclamation number 2021-8 in recognition of National EMS Week.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
I'll second.
Second, Counselor Guerrero. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Strauss?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Mayor Bates?
Yes. Okay, with the motion being approved, we'll now have Counselor Spradlin read the proclamation, please.
To designate the week of May 16th through the 22nd, 2021 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services provide a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventative medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares May 16th through the 22nd, 2021 as National Emergency Medical Services Week in the city of Brush, Colorado. Given under my hand and the seal of the city of Brush this 14th day of June, 2021.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to 5E, proclamation number 2021-10, -9 in recognition of International Firefighter Day. Only get a day?
They get a day and
Not
a
a
week.
I'm surprised you guys are here with the weekend that you've had, and you've had a big weekend, I know. So with that, if we could get a motion on this proclamation.
I move that we approve proclamation number 2021-9 in recognition of International Firefighters Day.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
Counselor Strauss, second. Any further discussion? Discussion? No?
On the agenda, it says national, it is international.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
we
my
made that
mistake.
correction just a minute ago. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you for catching that.
okay, with that, let's go ahead and go to roll call vote.
Counselor Sherman?
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Strauss?
Yes.
Counselor Guerrero?
Yes.
Mayor Bates?
Yes. With now that the proclamation has been approved, I know Counselor Guerrero has special significance for this. Her husband's a firefighter, so with that, we'll ask Counselor Guerrero to please read the proclamation.
He's tired, just like the other firefighters in the room today.
Yeah.
to designate the day of May 4th, 2021 as International Firefighters Day. Whereas firefighters dedicate countless hours, selfless time away from their families, and take ultimate risks to serve their communities. And whereas firefighters in our community volunteer their time and leave their families, jobs, and personal lives to answer the call. And whereas the role of a firefighter is to respond to emergencies involving life, property, or environment, and to fight together against an enemy that can quickly destroy lives. And whereas the men and women of the fire service industry are a special group of individuals that exude extraordinary commitment and exceptional courage to tirelessly serve and protect others. And whereas International Firefighters Day was created in 1999 after 5 firefighters tragically died during a wildfire in Australia, when the direction of the wind changed suddenly and engulfed them in flames. It is celebrated on May 4th because that is St. Florian's Day, and St. Florian was the first commanding firefighter of an actual Roman battalion, saving many lives, and is considered the patron saint of firefighters. And whereas International Firefighters Day is a time when the world's community can recognize and honor the sacrifices that firefighters make to ensure their communities are safe as possible, and remember those that have given the ultimate sacrifice of their lives to protect the safety of others. Whereas we show our support and appreciation to the firefighters and their families in our community. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares May 4th, 2021 as International Firefighters Day in the city of Brush, Colorado. Given under my hand and sealed the city of Brush this 14th day of June, 2021.
All right, thank you, and thank you. All right, moving on to 5E, proclamation number 2021-10 in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, which is the 911 Communications Center. I'd look for a motion on this item.
I move that we approve proclamation number 2021-10 in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Sherman seconds. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Stroud,
Yes.
Counselor Garrell,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Okay, 5F, proclamation number 2021-11 in support of fair housing.
Do you want us to read that one?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, too many in a row. Counselor Sherman will now read the proclamation. Sorry.
Proclamation 2021-10 in recognition of National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week to designate the week of April 11th through April 17th, 2021 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Whereas the Barton County Communications Center plays a vital role in the protection of human life and property in our community, and whereas the Martin County Communications Center has been successfully serving the public safety communication needs of Martin County through efficiently coordinating emergency services to ensure the health and safety of the public in our community. And whereas while enduring long hours, abnormal schedules, and handling frequent life and death emergencies, Martin County's public safety telecommunicators set high standards in performing their duties in a dedicated, diligent, and compassionate manner. And whereas public safety telecommunicators provide a critical communication link between the public and police, fire, and EMS providers. And whereas our community's public safety communications personnel serve the public daily in countless ways without due recognition by the beneficiaries of their services. And whereas we recognize and commend the dedicated service provided by the public safety telecommunicators in our community and across the nation. Therefore, be it resolved that the Brush City Council formally declares April 11th through April 17th, 2021 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in the city of Brush, Colorado, given under my hand and seal of the city of Brush this 14th day of June, 2021.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to 5F, proclamation number 2021-11 in support of fair housing. And Joanne, would you like to make some comments about that?
Real briefly, the main reason that this is coming before council is that back in 2020, we went together with Ebenezer and received a CDBG grant for the elevator at Ebenezer, you may recall that. And in getting this ready to close out, and part of one of the things that with those CDBG grants that we have to show is that we promote fair housing in the community of Brush. And so, per our DOLA representative, he has stated that the best way would to do a proclamation, and so this is DOLA's basic proclamation that we have written for the city of Brush
Okay,
to do tonight.
okay, very good. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve proclamation number 2021-11 in support of fair housing.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Counselor Spradlin seconds. Any further discussion? Thank you, Joanne, for that. With that, let's go ahead and take roll call.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Strau,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Counselor Gural,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. With that, Counselor Strau will now read the proclamation for fair housing.
Whereas the Civil Rights Act of 1968, commonly known as the Federal Fair Housing Act, and the Fair Housing Amendment Act of 1988 prohibit discrimination in the sale, rental, leasing, and financing of housing or land to be used for the construction of housing or in the provision of brokerage services on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, disability, familiar status, or national origin, and whereas the 1968 and 1988 Federal Fair Housing Acts declare that it is a national policy to ensure equal opportunities housing, and whereas April has traditionally been designated as Fair Housing Month in the United States, now therefore he, Charles R. Bain, the mayor, do proclaim June as Fair Housing Month in the city of Brush, and does hereby urge all citizens of the community to comply with the letter and spirit of the Fair Housing Law.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 5G, Stormwater Pond Maintenance Agreement. Rick Kroglian, Assistant City Administrator.
We're gonna strike that. We're still in negotiations, so they have looked at it, they've got some questions, we've talked back and forth, and we decided to not hastily do it, just wait for another council meeting.
Okay, so council will get more information probably in maybe the next meeting
Yep.
in the packet. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to number 6, Finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll from May 25th, 2021 to June 14th, 2021 in the amount of $475,146.97.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Counselor Spradlin, second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Counselor Strau,
Yes.
Counselor Gural,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Counselor Sherman,
Yes.
Mayor Bain.
Yes. Moving on to number 7, staff reports. Rick Kroglian, Assistant City Administrator / Community Development Director.
/ Just saying.
Making sure I wasn't forgetting anything. First I'll discuss just the building department in general. David's doing a great job. He's been slammed with permits. So in the month of May, he did 52 permits, which
Wow.
that's a lot. We haven't done that before. 4 of those were new homes, 2 basement remodels, and various re-roofs, concrete fence, and window permits. So it's pretty good. So in the month of June, so 52 in May, in the month of June, as of today, we've had 42.
Oh my goodness.
So we're basically on par to do over 400 permits this year. So we were in the 300s last time, 330, and so we're gonna break our record. Most of these that we've seen, you could probably take a guess because of their storms. So most of these are roofs. I mean, we had 12 over the weekend, 12 permits alone from roofs. This has also caused us to crack down a lot on a lot of door-to-door sales guys. And so I personally was involved with one of them, but some of them, they just kind of want to go in and out and not, we have to get a permit. Anytime someone goes door-to-door solicitation, you have to have a permit. And it's affordable, but at least it gives us a chance to get to know who they are and if they're legitimate or not. We're launching MyGov software, our building department software, in July. We were trying to do it this month to kind of get all through the training, but we've all been slammed. So we're going to push it to July to hopefully launch it. It's the same software that Fort Morgan uses, same everything, and we're mirroring theirs actually. So we'll just put our Brush logo and stuff on it, and then correct certain things that we do that they don't, and vice versa. Another thing just to highlight, Monty and I are going to be going to the CCCMA City Managers Conference meeting, or conference, and that's in Glenwood Springs. So I've never been there, but they say it's great. So I look forward to that. And we have 2 interns, so not building department us, but the whole city. We're kind of rotating them to expose them to different departments, seeing if they will like it, and hopefully maybe hire them, once they decide what they want to do. So, and then the other update I want to give you is FEMA has requested the city to go to kind of do an audit of our community rating system in the floodplain. And this is something that Karen has done over the years, and so kind of having to dig up certain documents to look at. So basically had to do an internal audit. Monty looked over it. I gave it before you. It's details. The biggest thing that I have to do today is let you know and the community know through media and so forth that we have done an audit through our floodplain, and there's a document that will be going through. The only one that I'll highlight is just the floodplain information. This is supposed to go out annually to the people in the floodplain to make sure that they understand that there's guidelines there. They can't just do what they think they can do. So there's no rise certificates if they're going to build and additions, anything that goes in the ground that could potentially cause a flood rise. So you're supposed to make the flood flow. And so this will go out to everyone in the floodplain. So this has been updated, and there's a lot of other documents just to kind of show that we do have a system in play. But that had to be communicated to you guys, and will be to the media and to the our citizens as well. So that hopefully will make our score go up a little, or actually go down a little bit. 10's the worst, 0 is awesome. So we're at 10 right now, and we're trying to go down. So
Appreciate all your work on it.
it's a beast. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Rick. Derek Boss, Chief of Police.
Good evening. Just a few things quickly. We did just today, this afternoon, receive approval for our JAG grant extension.
Oh, good.
So that extends the funds out to May 31 of 2022. They actually shortened the whole program by a month, so we lose a month of funding, but that's better than nothing. So good news there. We are waiting on our appeal for the discontinuation of the rest of the funds. That's a written appeal. We get no opportunity to discuss or answer questions. And I should get a decision on that June 22nd or 23rd. So we'll wait and see, but I'm not super optimistic on that. We're busy. We're preparing for July 4th and the rodeo. Everything's looking good on our end, but just so you know, we're doing that. Our cadet graduated from the academy on June 5th from Flat Rock Police Academy. I was able to attend, but they did have attendance restrictions, so nobody else from the department was there. He did have family members there, though, and he started training last week. He was the elected class president, the elected class speaker, and he received the Director's Excellence Award in the Academy, so we got a great cadet. Very excited about that. We did, 2 weeks ago, also have an officer resign. Officer Maldonado resigned at the very end of May. Some family crisis issues going on there, and so sad to lose him. So we have 2 openings now, and we are testing on Friday. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Chief.
I have a question for you,
Yes,
Chief.
ma'am.
So I'm sure that most people have noticed, especially through social media, that theft is on the rise throughout the county.
is.
So I'm just wondering, I haven't seen too many reports coming out of brush directly, but I'm just wondering what preventative measures are being taken.
So preventative is tough. You know, we encourage a lot of cameras, and we have a lot of people with cameras, which has helped us on several of our cases. Thank you to you. We do have warrants out for several of our local thieves right now.
Okay.
We haven't been hit that hard.
And I know
and-
that here in Brush, it's just in the county, and it's a hot topic right now.
And one of the big things, a little history there, when the COVID hit a year ago, law enforcement kind of stopped doing proactive work. And we did that for about a week and decided it was a bad idea. And since then, we have seen very few thefts in brush. but everybody else is getting hit. And our criminals are telling us, well, we know you guys are out and about, you're stopping cars, you're doing everything. So I think that, honestly, for the last year has saved us a lot of grief and misery and brush. But yes, it is definitely creeping up.
Well, whatever you're doing great, because they haven't been coming out of brush, so
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, Ted Anderson, Fire Chief.
Good evening. How's everybody?
Good.
Yeah, we were really busy yesterday. We had 2 structure fires. We ran from noon till about 4 o'clock this morning, and then had rekindles at 6. So we've been running pretty hard. So everything's good. We did have 1 injury in the first incident. Nothing serious, but we did have a firefighter injured. So Ray and I got to go, and TJ, one of our lieutenants, went up to Fort Collins and looked at our truck, the new fire engine. Did a once over on the cabin chassis. They're currently waiting on parts and pieces, which is like everybody extended.
Yeah.
So they're looking at January completion, so it keeps getting pushed back a little bit, but that's just where we're at. So, but from what we've got right now, it's going to be a nice engine. So
Good. That's good to hear.
yeah, that was really nice. Oh yeah. So our backup engine 921, needs some mechanical work. So we're working on getting that set up and getting that repaired. 930, which is our tower ladder, got worked pretty hard last night, and we've got some maintenance issues that need to be dealt with, and we're working on getting that taken care of as well.
Tad, where do those go to for that type of specialty work?
The 921 will go to SBI. And then right now there's a emergency mechanic in Fort Morgan. We're working with them to do the maintenance on the tower. If they can manage that, then it'll be done local. If not, then Front Range, who deals with Pierce, will be our next call. And the last time they came down, they had a mobile mechanic, so they did it right at the station. So we'll see where that goes. But ideally, we'll get it done in Fort Morgan, actually.
Okay.
So, and then I've been working with the hospital on a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, for patient decontamination. They got to looking at hazmat. I don't think they realized how much hazmat we have going through this town.
Oh.
And so we got into those discussions for the last couple months. We've got a memorandum of understanding put together. It just needs signed. And basically, we're responsible for decontamination before patients get to the hospital. So we have the capability of doing mass decontamination, setting up basically a corridor, and then just blasting them with hoses. And we also have a detailed decon setup that we can do detailed decontamination before they go into the ambulances. They were, I think, a little bit overwhelmed on what that might entail, but we've been prepared for that for years. So the memorandum basically says that we'll do the decon before they're sent to the hospital. Now, one of the issues there, which they're dealing with, is that there are a lot of times in an incident like that where patients POV to the hospital and we never see them, so they'll still have to do some decontamination there. And they're going to have to be able to catch them before they contaminate the hospital. So, they're working on that side of it.
So these are like field decon, wherever it happens, you set up?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
And we want to do that, we need to do that because we don't need to contaminate the ambulances.
Right.
Ambulance gets contaminated, then the crew and that ambulance is out of service. And so it's critical.
Yeah.
But, you know, with all the potential that we have just in local fertilizers and things like that, but over the road, over the rails, there's hazmat everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's a challenge. So that's why they were looking at an MOU, and we came together and worked on that. Like I said, we have this final. So the question would be, I've already presented this to the rural board, and they were comfortable with where this is at and to have me sign this. My question is, do you guys need to sign this? As this is written, really, I'm the one that's on the MOU.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on how comfortable you are.
I don't think it matters. Sign
Okay.
it.
All right.
Yeah.
We're comfortable with what we came up with. They're in good shape, so if that's the case, then I'll just sign it and we'll
Yeah.
have our memorandum.
Yeah, I would bow to your experience and your expertise in this area, Tad, very much.
Okay?
All right.
Sounds good. Anything else? I think that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Okay.
Of course I do, I always do. Can you just update us on your numbers? How many openings you have and how many are on injured reserve?
We just have the one injured from the other day. We still have the same 27 that we've had. We're slotted for 35, but I don't know that we've ever had 35.
Okay.
So
That-
we're,
That brings a question to my mind. We have volunteer firefighters, when they're injured, are they covered by any sort of workman's comp? Okay.
CIRSA.
Okay. Okay, I
Yep.
didn't know that. All
And
right.
I'm in the middle of doing the paperwork for
Okay.
him at this time, so. But that would be through the rural fire protection district because it was in the rural district, the
Okay.
accident, so.
Did we call Fort Morgan out also for
Oh, yeah, we had-
the mobile home that was?
Yep. So
Oh,
we
okay.
had
Thought I saw
Fort
a truck.
Morgan and Hill Rose
Okay,
came mutual aid on both incidents.
okay,
Just because they were big. The mobile home was a total loss, but it was a very complex fire.
mm-hmm,
And the one in town was actually a lightning strike
yeah,
that got into the attic, and we were able to contain it to the attic. If you drive by the house, if you don't pay attention, you don't even notice.
oh, but it's a
Um,
total loss.
I don't
Oh.
think it's a total
Oh,
loss. I
okay.
think it can be rebuilt, but that's gonna be up to the insurance company, so.
A lot of water damage at this point.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
We put a lot of water on it.
Was there any determination on the mobile home fire, what the cause
There
was?
was,
or
there was a reported explosion, but there were a lot of O2 bottles found in
Oh.
the house. And so, it's hard to say
Yeah,
what caused it, but,
okay.
yep.
Busy
been fun.
weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Mutual aid, Fort Morgan had a fatal fire,
Yeah,
and we responded mutual aid with them on that, and that was a tough one, and then they came and helped us on two of ours.
okay,
So, it's a good group. They work hard, so.
all right, thank you. Let's see, next up, Dale Colrick, Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things, kind of sound like a broken record, but our street crews are out patching asphalt patches, trying to repair some of the wintertime damage. And so, always watch out for them. They're out there right now. Currently, they're working in and around Ebenezer at this point. Water Department's been doing a lot of training. We've been kind of gearing up for some well field studies and the like, and try to get some of that put back together, get a good handle on what we're looking at here lately. Again, broken records, sidewalks on Edison. It's my understanding that the property owner letters are going out, so that means we're very close close to starting that construction project. I've been told they're gonna start over by Fresh Foods and on the south side and just kind of work from that area out that direction. And then finally, for all you golfers, the water hazard on hole number 9 is complete with construction. It's starting to fill with some water, so take the drop.
I don't even know what that means, but okay.
I wanna know when you're stocking it.
We'll get there.
Okay.
So, that, any questions, comments?
I was curious, when you guys were gonna get your asphalt heater.
I haven't heard. I can follow up on that, because there has been some serious interest in getting that here sooner than later. As we have a lot of work to do with that.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm kinda wanna see that thing work.
Yes,
So.
me too.
All right.
All right.
All right, thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Joanne Gosling, Finance Director.
I just have one real quick item, and that is to let you know that I do have auditors. I had them 2 days last week, and I'll have them at least 2 days this week. So within the next month, probably we'll be seeing Scott Zalbo from Lauer Zalbo and Associates presenting an audit to council.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Miranda Packard, City Clerk.
Just one thing to talk about tonight was the CML annual conference, or they're calling it the special conference this year because it's being held at a different time. We talked about it at last meeting. I've got you a copy of what registration looks like online, and they're asking for us to register for the classes, which won't necessarily guarantee you that spot, but they're just trying to get a count on how many will be participating in each of the classes.
Okay.
So I'm also going to be emailing this out tomorrow so that the two who aren't here tonight will see that and they can get their registrations back into you. The sooner the better. We can't reserve rooms until we're registered, but I don't know if there's going to be the demand on them this year
Yeah.
as what we would have seen a couple years ago. So
Yeah, and what we saw a couple of, I would encourage everyone, if you're planning on going to this conference, let Miranda know as soon as possible, because I know it's held at the Westin in Westminster, and we got caught a couple of years ago not getting our indications back to Miranda, or maybe it was Andrea at that time, and we were quite a ways away from the conference. So if you're wanting to go, I'd get that information to her so we can get rooms reserved, because we're not sure how fast they will fill up. And I'm not sure how far the hotels are away from the main one, and you want to be in the main one because it makes it a lot more convenient, so.
that's
Right.
all I have.
All right, thank you. Dan Kropp, City Attorney.
Just a couple things. I've been working on a few different annexations, and you'll see them come once we get a little further down the road. Been working with Dale, and he's done a really good job on that annexation agreement. Been working with Chief Boss on the model traffic code, and that got bumped a little bit because of our prosecutors had some concerns about detention of minors during traffic stops, so we need to reconcile a couple chapters in there before we pass it. I just didn't want to rush that through. And can't read my handwriting. Oh, we finished up the fee schedule, which you saw tonight.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, Monty Trez, City Administrator.
Okay, a few items. First one, going back to 2020, most of us remember that the city received some funds through Department of Local Affairs. They were federal funds that we used for dealing with COVID, and those stimulus funds, we actually got notified here not long ago that if you had any leftover costs from 2020, that you could actually still submit for those. And so Joanne, this week probably, maybe next week, we'll figure it out. There's a deadline, but we're gonna apply for summers between $12,000 and $50,000 of reimbursables, probably related to the small business grants that were distributed, and then also maybe some HVAC system upgrades that had taken place. The other thing is, now with all this additional funding coming out through the American Recovery Plan Act, there is one that the state's funding with those funds, and that's the Colorado Main Street program. and their focus is working with Main Street communities on economic development, and they look at that from the standpoint that supporting your small businesses, doing facade grants, doing HVAC system upgrades, energy efficiencies, things like that. Those are being worked on. I believe it's July 1st when we can start applying for those. We want to work closely with the Chamber of Commerce, and we want to see if maybe the Sands Theater, if we can maybe have that fall underneath there in some manner, because they are doing some HVAC improvements, if I remember right, or want to. So we're going to keep our eyes on that and see if we can help out there. We also, Joanne, didn't mention it, Joanne, but she applied for $1.38 million worth of
That's correct. It's just little
ARPA funds, and those are supposed to be a direct distribution to municipalities, so spread over 2 years. So as soon as it opened, Joanne applied, and the first half of that is supposed to be in the next few days. We should receive that. Now, we are taking a little bit of time just to understand how we can use the funds. We just, we had a sign, or you had a sign, I had a sign, I'm not sure who signed, but she submitted for it. And just saying that, you know, we agreed to keep all the records on how we spend the money for quite a few years, because we can get audited at any time. So we are going to really double check on how we can use the funds. But we have had discussions, staff meeting, where we threw every idea we could think of on the wall, just how can we use the funds. And then before any funds are used, we're going to come back to council and present how we think the best way to use the funds are. So I do know that an easy way to spend the money is on infrastructure, water, wastewater. They've already approved that. It's pretty clear. But we've had ideas ranging from constructing a child care facility that is city-owned but privately run, some type of public-private partnership there. We've talked about grants for businesses downtown for cameras, right, for security. We've talked about also working with the chamber, how we can help them out in any way that we could, just to keep them strong. So we'll see where that goes, but we'll definitely get back to the city council before any funds are spent. We also, I believe I mentioned, we applied for the READY grant, and the READY grant is for economic development purposes, and we applied for the second entrance into the Brush Agri Park, and that leads into potentially a future building site for the Colorado Parks and Wildlife if we get that partnership going, and then also leads into the Fire Training Center facility, and then also connects to 4 to 6 other potential business lots or business sites. And tomorrow, Pam, was it a 40-60 split or 30-70?
Yeah, I think you're closer to 40-60.
Yeah, so we're going to try and maximize the funds that we can get through DOLA if we're awarded it. It's a pretty competitive process, but we are what's called a just transition community, so I hope that we rank higher up on the scores, and if we do, then we'll get lucky. The maximum I think they're going to allow us is about $150,000, but that'll go a long ways on a road.
Can you elaborate just a little bit on the just transition, what that means to?
Just transition community means we're we're within a county that has a coal-fired power plant that is projected to go away. So there are going to be economic impacts because of that, you know, jobs, but also tax bases. So the state formed what's called a Just Transition Committee, and that committee is supposed to help funnel assistance and resources and funding to those counties, municipalities, and special districts, and the county government. And so we're hoping, because we are one of those, that we get some additional points as they go through the process. Here shortly, we're going to be, not today, in the very near future, talking about the public safety ballot question. And I did ask for council members, if they had an interest in being part of that, let me know. I've had one interested council person but we'd like to get a little more support before we dive into some deeper discussions on that. And I'll talk about law enforcement and compensation in the work session, so I'll hold that for then. Also, we're working with the school district on, having discussions with the school district on a new well to be installed on the middle school grounds. So instead of using high-quality city water on the middle school grounds that is projected to be mostly grass for the short term, to do a well out there that we can use agricultural grade water out there versus our high-quality city water. So it's a large water conservation project. We also are going to be looking at water conservation projects for the golf course potentially, and then also the Brush Agri Park. We have a few wells out there, and one of those wells is close enough to the fire training center. We might actually use that well for that purpose. We don't know how much water we end up using out there, but it's better to use that water versus the high-quality city water. That's it.
Okay. Do you know, sorry, Dan, the timeline for the things at the middle school, for example? Just because it's kind of an eyesore currently, obviously.
Right now, it's all school district that are
Right.
planning. I don't have any other ideas. They did have a hope to get the irrigation going, I believe by September, grass and irrigation going. But our consultant on the engineering side for the well didn't know if we'd be able to get through the legal processes that fast for the water courts and everything. So we do think that we could probably do something really creative where if they level it, put in grass in the sprinkler system, we could probably hook it up for a season to city water. That's where it used to be, so it'd be easy interconnect. And then next year when the well gets put in, then we can just swap it out.
Good. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 8, mayor and council reports. Does council have anything to report tonight?
Oh, I've got several things then.
Go ahead.
So I didn't get to say my stuff last time, so you're all in trouble now. This is a bad time to tell you my favorite movie is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Take your time.
I will, don't worry.
Oh, I will.
So a couple things I want to talk about last week, but then they kind of, last time, just kind of built in my head here. First off, super positive note, I wanted to say thanks to everybody. We have since this year, I think, we've got the municipal code updating. We've got the traffic code updating. We've got the liquor fees that hadn't been touched. None of this stuff has been touched in years. So I absolutely love that we're doing that, and I appreciate you guys looking at all that. Not to steal Justin's line here, but, we don't want government to, government. But I really appreciate that, and I love it. So the reason I was thinking about that partially is last week I wanted to say nice things about Rick, or last time, dang it, because I know since I've been here, we talked about, and I brought it up several times now, communicating with citizens. And I really, really like that he's been putting things out there on Facebook or wherever, asking for input. I know we had a little snark about it, but, we saw the result of all of that communication last time when we had more people than I've seen the year and a half I've been here, at one time. So a good chunk of that is the communication. So I wanted to give him kudos for that. And on that note, hold on, I have too many notes. On that note, with the public engagement, I wanted to make sure after a couple of people talked to me, that we are making sure that we are being, we're not being unwelcoming, that we're making sure we're being open and as receptive as possible about public input. I had a couple people come to me that said, well, why bother? Which obviously they had an axe to grind. But to that end, and back to Rick's communication on Facebook, fun fact, we are the 7th youngest county in the state. And by 2015, we're going to be the 3rd youngest. So these, you know, again, we scoffed a little bit about the Facebook stuff, but again, we're young. That's a way to communicate, and a way it would be bad to be left behind in 10 years or whatever if we don't start down that good road now. Let's see. I think that's probably good enough now. I will wait for the letters to come in vindicating me from, you know, back to my joke. It's a good movie. If you haven't watched it, watch it.
It is a good movie.
I think that's all, but thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, anyone else? Well, I got something to bring here that I want to present to our Assistant City Administrator. I saved my copy so you can send it to your mom and dad, or, you know, your kids, save it, you know. So if anybody has any extra copies, please give them to Rick if you would accept this.
You need one for my dartboard.
Interesting.
Congratulations. We have one back there that people drew all over it.
Oh, well, that's just inappropriate. All right.
It's nice to have those extra copies. He startled my kids by dropping off his extra copy directly to my house.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
I was
Yeah.
talking about you.
Oh.
You startled my kids.
That's right. I
You're
try
like-
to hold on to them if I, you know.
I'm like, Mom, the mayor's
Anyway.
here.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting, and we'll move into our work session. We have a pretty lengthy work session, looks like, so.